Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is going to sneeze. And the person next to them, even a complete stranger, is going to say 2 words. They won't decide to say them. They won't even notice they said them. But they will. So will the cashier behind them. So will a child who is barely old enough to understand what the words mean. So will you. This single reflex has been passed down, mouth to mouth, for over 1,400 years. It survived the fall of the Roman Empire, the Black Death, 2 world wars, the entire age of science. None of it stopped it. And the original reason we started saying it, the real reason, is so disturbing that your ancestors believed not saying it could kill you. Tonight, you're going to find out why. And by the end of this video, you'll understand that the 2 words you say without thinking were given to you by a man you've never heard of, in a city that no longer exists, in the middle of a plague that almost ended Western civilization. Think about the last time you said, "bless you," to someone. It probably wasn't a person you loved. It probably wasn't even a person you knew. A coworker walking past your desk, a stranger in line, maybe a voice from another room in your own house. And without pausing, without choosing, those 2 words came out of your mouth. Almost nobody asks the obvious question. Why? Why does a sneeze, a tiny, involuntary spasm that lasts less than a second, require a verbal response from the people around you? You don't say anything when someone coughs. You don't say anything when someone yawns. You don't say anything when someone hiccups. But a sneeze somehow demands a blessing. Nobody ever explained that to you. You absorbed it from the air around you, the way every human being for the last 60 generations has absorbed it. And to understand why, we have to go back almost 3,000 years. For most of human history, people believe something specific about the human body that we have completely forgotten. They believed the soul lived inside your head, not metaphorically, literally, somewhere behind your eyes, behind your nose, behind your mouth. There was a fragile, invisible thing that animated you, and it could escape. The ancient Greeks called it pneuma. The Romans called it anima. The Hebrews called it nephesh. Different languages, different cultures, separated by mountains and oceans and centuries. But they all believed the same thing. The soul was breath, and breath came out of your face. So what did this have to do with sneezing? Everything. A sneeze was the only involuntary moment when air left your body with force. 1 second you were sitting peacefully, and the next, something inside you had erupted out of your mouth and into the air. Aristotle wrote about it directly. He believed a sneeze was a sign of a healthy soul. Plato thought it was sacred. Pliny the Elder, the great Roman naturalist, wrote in the 1st century that even the Emperor Tiberius would demand to be greeted whenever he sneezed, by total strangers, on the street. That's how seriously they took it. Because in their world, a sneeze wasn't just a sign of life. It was a sign that something else was paying attention. In the ancient world, a sneeze was a signal from the gods. A pause in reality where the curtain between the human world and the world of the gods briefly opened. In Homer's Odyssey, written around the 8th century BC, there is a famous scene. Penelope is talking about her husband Odysseus, who has been missing for 20 years. She says she believes he will return and take revenge on the men who have taken over her house. And at that exact moment, her son Telemachus sneezes. Penelope laughs with joy, because in ancient Greek belief, a sneeze in that exact moment meant the gods had heard her, and were confirming her hope was true. For over 1,000 years, this is what a sneeze meant. A divine confirmation. If you sneezed while making a wish, your wish came true. If you sneezed during an argument, the gods were telling you who was right. If you sneezed before a journey, you canceled the trip. The sneeze was an oracle. And then something arrived in Europe that turned the sneeze from a blessing into a death sentence. The year is 590 AD. The city is Rome, and Rome is dying. A plague has been moving through the Mediterranean for nearly 50 years. Historians today call it the Plague of Justinian, one of the worst pandemics in human history. By the time it reached Rome in the spring of 590, it had already killed an estimated 25 million people. The streets were empty. Bodies piled up in the alleys faster than the survivors could bury them. And there was one terrifying detail. Survivors reported that the first visible sign that someone had been infected was a single, sudden, violent sneeze. A person could be healthy in the morning, sneeze at lunch, and be dead by sundown. In February of 590, the Pope of Rome dies of the plague himself. His replacement is a quiet, deeply religious man named Gregory. History will remember him as Gregory the Great. He inherits a dying city, and on his very first day as Pope, he gives a single instruction that will outlive him by 14 centuries. He orders that whenever anyone in Rome sneezes, the people around them must immediately stop what they are doing and say a prayer for that person's soul, because the sneeze, he believed, was the first step toward death, and the only way to save the sneezer was to ask God to bless them before the disease could take hold. 2 words, God bless you, spoken automatically by everyone within hearing distance every single time anyone sneezed, and that order has never been rescinded. Pope Gregory died in 604 AD, but the ritual he started never stopped. 750 years later, the Black Death arrived. Between 1347 and 1351, it killed somewhere between 30 and 60% of the population of Europe. 1 in every 2 people you would have known, gone in 4 years. Once again, sneezing was reported as an early symptom. Once again, the words God bless you were spoken across an entire continent, not as a polite habit, but as a desperate prayer. By the time the Black Death ended, the ritual was no longer a Catholic instruction. It was a reflex. People stopped knowing why they said it, but they kept saying it, generation after generation, 60 generations of human beings, passing 2 words down through the air, and the ritual spread to languages that had nothing to do with Gregory or Rome. Germans say Gesundheit, health. Spaniards say Salud. The French say à tes souhaits, to your wishes. All of them are doing the same thing. All of them are casting a tiny verbal spell against a sickness that no longer exists. But here is what's strange. Not every culture does this. In Japan, when someone sneezes, the people around them say nothing. Same in China. Same in Korea. Their cultures evolved without Gregory, without the plague, without the assumption that a sneeze means death. But yours didn't. So tonight, when you hear someone sneeze, a stranger in a coffee shop, a voice from another room, notice what happens inside you. Before you think, before you decide, before you even register that the sneeze happened, 2 words will be forming in your mouth. You are not making that choice. A pope made that choice for you. In the year 590, in a city emptied by plague, while bodies piled up outside his window, the plague is gone. The pope is gone. The Roman Empire is gone. The belief that your soul lives in your head is gone. But the 2 words remain. They are older than every country on earth, older than every modern religion, older than the English language itself. And here is what I want you to think about. If 2 words this small, this familiar, this automatic, carry a story this old inside them, what about everything else you do, without ever asking why? The handshake when you meet a stranger, the cake on your birthday, the 2 days off at the end of every week. None of those are old. All of them have an origin, and almost all of them were invented for a reason that would shock you. This channel is about all of them. Every modern ritual you've never questioned. If that's the kind of thing your mind needs right now, subscribe. A new video every week. And next time, we look at why you shake hands with complete strangers, and how that gentle gesture started as something far less gentle. But before you go, remember this. We never decided to keep saying it. A pope did, in a city of corpses, 1400 years ago, and not one of us has ever stopped. See you then.